Well, good morning. And we got some news and a really hot topic. The DOJ sues Texas, because the DOJ does everything. Apparently, they can even override states and their security. Javier Milei is literally killing it. And the Epstein Files. Man, that's a lot to unpack there. All this and more on Self-Evident Podcast. What up, ladies and gentlemen? You got Mass Dog, you got Mike.
Yo. Nathan, thank you for fixing my headphones. He clips them in, and Massey goes, yo! Golly!
I love it, yo. I love it. Guys, welcome to Self-Evident Podcast. You got Massey, you got Mike. We are so excited to be here with you. We got so much to cover today. And also, for Monday's podcast, it's going to be sweet, too. We also have a very special podcast tonight.
Yes.
You want to watch it tonight at 7.
Yep.
And Mike will get into that in a minute, but we just want to tee it up. You want to be a part of that. It's actually Sarah Maccabee. Her husband's been in prison for the last 3 years for January 6th. And it's a crazy story that you're literally going to go, what? And how our judges are really corrupt, in this whole thing. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that. We're so grateful for her. And you want to support her and what she's doing, so we have all that information on there. But, dang, bro, what a weekend, right? There was so much released. Also, too, I think these are the times where, and we'll talk about it on Monday's podcast, but just be careful for the voices that you're listening to.
Thank you.
Be careful, okay?
Seems to be a theme about what we say.
It sure does, all the time. Do homework on what we say, right? It's funny. Mike was saying our shorts and reels on YouTube are really hitting right now. Isn't it funny they don't ever go up past 2,500? Once it hits that mark, it stops.
Yep.
And we're getting comments and likes and it stops. It's so crazy. And I get it. It's cool. Do you? But just some of the comments we're getting too, it's okay, we're actually getting engaged. Mm-hmm. It's good. Decent conversation. So we're seeing a lot of that, but be careful what you're listening to out there. Check us, do your own homework and stuff like that. So when we're telling you these things, we're telling you from our perspective, when we're talking about all these things, you want to make sure that you know your stuff, so that way you're well prepared, and go through prayer as well. Make sure you're doing that. But guys, we got a lot of stuff covering. We're so excited to be in 24 because there's so much going on in 24 for us as a ministry, but also too for you guys. I think we're going to be feeding you a whole bunch of new content this year, a whole new mess of things that we really have on our heart to make sure you're prepared as a family, or prepared as a husband and a mother, and obviously parents for your kids, but also as well constitutionally. I think we're really going to get into this year. Okay, let me reverse. Last year we were really focused on discipling, building the person spiritually, equipping, going through the kind of the crucible of the heart. This year we really feel the direction of the ministry is learning from history. Learn from history. I may even make a hat about it. LFH, you know what I mean? Learn from history. Because we really, right?
I kind of like that.
I know. I got to get that kind of feel. I'm really getting that thing. And what we want to do is walk through history. I'm talking about early church history, early constitutional history, why, and what can we learn from civilizations past so we don't make the same mistakes? And if we have made those same mistakes, what can we do to counteract those mistakes? So we're going to be going through a lot of stuff this year. I pray that it ministers to you this year. So keep praying for us as we pray for you. And we need to do more prayer for you. I mean, we're really Lord, what do you want to do with us this year? So what we're hoping for is it takes off for us here so that people will hear. It's not about the Republican talking points or the Democrat talking points. It's really about, could they all be in a ruse of this? You're going to see some of this in the news bits, the bomb threats and stuff like that. It's I just hear Saul Alinsky. I hear Saul Alinsky. I hear the mob. I hear all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Be sure to talk about that when we get into all of that, because remember our conversation yesterday about the windows and everything?
Yep, totally.
And guys, I just want to dovetail off of what you're saying. 2024 is going to be crazy out there, and we're planning on doing a lot for 2024. I think it's time that I could. Can I?
Sure,
okay. So here's kind of the plan for 2024. I'm coming on full time with Self-Evident.
You missed it,
Now-
boys.
Now, those of you who are at Revive, this may come as a shock to you, and I'll be giving more information. It is not at all anything against Revive. I just feel the Lord is calling me into self-evident.
Quite
I'll
the
still-
opposite.
yeah,
Quite the
I
opposite.
love Revive.
Yeah,
man.
Revive is. I'm
Home,
the
dude.
associate there. Todd, Pastor Todd really regards him very highly. It's just he feels called to move in
Right.
full time to self-evident.
And actually, this will open me up to serve in other areas of Revive. I'm probably going to take a little bit of a break just to get wheels rolling on self-evident in the Forge, but I want to put my heart and soul into Revive in different ways. But I feel very called to step on full time with self-evident. So what does that mean for you guys? A lot more content. A lot more content. You're going to see a lot more directed marketing. Graphics, you're going to see
probably
kind of chase after it,
Daily
you know?
podcasts. We're
Yep.
probably going to come in here 15, 20-minute shots and do podcasts daily. So we're really we're going to up the efforts.
Yeah.
You're going to see our social media pop like you've never seen. I think for us, it's a timing. I wanted this to happen in 2020 for us, and then everything got kiboshed. Actually, 2020 was the year we thought, here it goes. And my wife was in the backyard praying. I hope I'm saying this right, but she actually said it once on a podcast, and she saw an eagle flying, and she said, she was asking the Lord for, is this confirmation? And then she saw that, and she said, okay. But then here we are 4 years later, because COVID was crazy.
Right.
So it destroyed a lot of our plans.
Yep.
And it's okay. Maybe it was a timing thing. Maybe it was me not ready, and that's fine. Is anyone ever ready for ministry, right? Like, we're just mature enough to, no, you just do it. But I think this year we kind of have a different side of faith.
And I think both of us are in a much better position, because it's kind of funny when you look back and you're like, man, if I had been given what I was going after at that time, I would have blown it up.
I think so.
I think back, like, you and I have learned so many lessons, and not that we're ready for that next step, but we're ready for it. Like we're in a position where we can maybe handle this,
Yeah.
And I think we can. And I think both of you and I have learned a lot of lessons. The cool thing about Revive was I cut my teeth and I learned a lot. And Josie had even spoken a word about that, of like, this is your training ground. This is where you're training, where you're cutting your teeth, you're getting proven. And I think 2024 is, I'm not saying it's going to be that like break out, take on the world year, but like we're pushing forward, and I very much see new level for self-evident, because you put so much of yourself into Revive. There's only 24 hours in the day. There's only so much mind capacity to put into something. And so now, and Carrie's doing all of her stuff with self-evident and putting her mind into it, but she's also got the kids and the homeschooling and all of that. And so now I can step in and kind of bring that focus where I don't have to think about the stuff I've had going on at Revive. And I so want to leave with a beautiful conclusion to it, and move into what I really feel the Lord's called me to, which is self-evident and then the Forged. And guys, I'm finally all done with the graphics package and all of that. So now I finally got my logos that I'm putting up on stuff, and I'm setting everything up. So guys, keep an eye out. It's not that I haven't been doing. I've been doing stuff behind the scenes so that I can roll it all out.
Yeah, you want to launch it
at
well.
once. Yes.
This may be a launch in the fall, for him, and that's going to be a whole other focus. But rest assured, he's doing everything for us, and I trust him. He's very high capacity. He can do it, and so we're just I think Revive really. It's Pastor Todd really helped mentor a lot of what's in you.
For sure.
But we also, I think you had to really learn.
Yeah.
Like, this is not bad, but like almost a humility of, this is a real burden. Like this ministry stuff is not easy. The attacks are different, all that other stuff. And learning to love the mundane. That's hard to do. The mundane every day, do the same thing. Then you get your highs, and then you're on a little valley or the low or the mid, and you just keep persistent with the Lord. And you've been so disciplined in that, man. I'm just proud of you. And so we're excited to have you, man. Come on full time and really kind of sink your teeth into this and pray for us. And we also want to thank you guys for giving to the year-end donation.
Yeah, for sure.
There's still time available. I think it's up till the 15th or something like that. If you want to give for tax purposes, you can do that. It's theselfevidenttruth.com on the donate site. We didn't hit the goal, but it's a goal we threw out there and said, Lord, we're just going to trust you. But thank you so much to you guys who did give and really put your heart into giving to us. And it's not wasted. You know, we are excited for this. And I pray that you guys see this year too, by the grace of God, with his protection, we're going to move forward. Now, it doesn't mean we're not going to go through trials. It doesn't mean we're not going to go through things. And I even hate talking like that because I hate that stuff. But I do understand I have to trust. And that's a cool place to be and a hard place to be, you know? And so we're trusting.
Yep.
And we're going to go out there and do our best. And we already had a couple of events canceled in January. Our whole month of January has been canceled.
A great way to start out.
It's crazy. You know, one of them was a snowstorm. We're so not, you know, we should have him on the podcast. Reasons for Hope, Dave Glander. Look him up, Reasons for Hope. It's a ministry that goes out and does apologetics for youth. And I was invited to come and speak and do some of these events, and I'm excited to do it. That got canceled this year. And so what happens is they lose money too. So you want to check them out and you know, be a part of that. Reasons for Hope. Dave Glander is the one who's coordinating with me. I'm not saying he's the one who founded it. I'm saying he's the one who coordinates with me. And just a great ministry, man. Just a great set of people. And dude, the hitters they got on there, man. It just Juan Valdez and all these cats. It's like, okay, I'm smart, but not like that. Those guys are amazing,
right,
man. You know, and I'm over here like, how do I? God is good. You know, like they're amazing, and we want to acknowledge that. You know, when you're amongst giants of the faith, you just want to say hat tip. You know what I mean? So grateful for that, but just keep praying for our events. Keep praying that the Lord opens doors, and God will prosper the way. You know, if He wants to do that, and He will, and we believe that. I really have faith. I don't want to hope He's going to do it. I believe He will.
Absolutely. So
we're walking forward. Pray for us in our families. I know the cost of ministry, and it's tough, but I also know the glory of it and how God moves and all these things. Just pray for protection over our families. I don't want to ramble. There's just so much to talk to you guys about.
It's a new
and
year.
We're still rolling out
on.
things, and we're going to know more at the end of January where we're really, like we know where we're going this year. January is really going to confirm a lot of things for us this year. Yep. It's going to be, okay, here we go, hit the gas and, you know, do that. And we're always going to hit the gas, you know, so we're not going to stop. We're just, it's going to be cool.
Yep.
You know, we're going to see what God does.
I love it.
So, are we ready for News Bits? News Bits, baby, yeah.
Here we go. Go for it.
Our video guys rock, man. That was so cool. It's such unique.
Awesome,
yeah. And so DOJ sues Texas. The Department of Justice wants to sue Texas because of the supremacy clause. What the flip does that mean, do you say? You heard it right. Texas set up a new immigration law, making it legal for them to arrest illegal aliens and try them in state courts. Biden's administration argued that Texas cannot run its own immigration system, even though they have their own borders, right? Even though they have to deal with all of this illegal immigration happening and their safety and all these things. And obviously the Biden administration is not doing anything. We're just allowing illegal immigrants to flood into our country. Check this out. The DOJ argued that the federal government has exclusive authority to enforce immigration law. I agree with that. That's actually constitutional. They're exactly right. But do those immigration laws hurt the safety of our states? And if they do, is Article 9 and 10 active enough in the Bill of Rights to say, no, we have to protect our states here? You know what I mean? Its efforts through, this is what the DOJ says, its efforts through SB 4, which is the law that Texas passed, intrude on the federal government's exclusive authority to regulate the entry and removal of non-citizens. There's more entry than removal, that's for sure. They frustrate the United States immigration operations and proceedings because they're efficient in those proceedings, and interfere with U.S. foreign relations. That's their linchpin. We have relations and treaties that we've made, and if the state, one state upsets the whole apple cart, it's going to hurt how we do our relations. That's where they're pinning all this, so that they have the power to make treaties. That's constitutional, right? SB4, they say, is invalid and must be enjoined. The complaint filed in U.S. District Court for the Western District of Texas states, SB4 is clearly unconstitutional. The Associate Attorney General Vanita Gupta. Because if you're looking at some of these names, I'm like, okay, said in a statement, under the Supremacy Clause of the Constitution, which if you read, I believe it's Article 6, Section 2, it says that of the Constitution and longstanding Supreme Court precedent. Notice that. The Supremacy Clause, which they don't list, and then they say longstanding court precedent. That has been the most dangerous thing to our republic is court precedent. And I'll explain in a minute. States that states cannot adopt immigration laws that interfere with the framework enacted by Congress. The Justice Department will continue to fulfill its responsibility to uphold the Constitution and enforce federal law. Cool. Enforce the Constitution. Uphold it. I'm agreeing with you. But what happens when states are no longer being protected because of your stupid law, because of what you want to do? If states now are not being upheld and we're almost protecting the illegal immigrant more than the state and people who come in and businesses and such, then are you doing your job in upholding the Constitution? Because according to the preamble, we're supposed to enact laws that promote the general welfare of our states, right? So the Supremacy Clause basically states that any constitutional law or any law enacted that is pursuant to the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. I agree. But are the laws they're making about immigration in conjunction with the Constitution to protect the states, to protect its citizens?
Right, and that's the hardest part about all this is the government will come in and they'll say, well, we need to protect these international relationships and we gotta look outwards.
At the expense of our states?
Exactly. It's like, okay, is the Constitution there to protect America and the citizens?
That's right.
Or everybody else?
That's right.
And
it almost feels like they're doing it for everyone else.
Huh. Go figure, which seems...
a globalist mindset.
Yeah, almost like a liberal idea. And there's actually been studies that have shown that white liberals especially, or progressives if you want to throw it that way, white progressives are the only ones with an out-group bias. What that means is they prefer other groups to their own. Everybody else, white conservatives, blacks, Mexicans, however you want to parse it up, they all go in-group bias. They're like, okay, my own group, I'm going to have a preference towards them. The studies have shown that white liberals, white progressives, if you'd rather say that, are the only ones who have that out-group bias of everybody else is better than I am.
Right.
Everybody, preference for everybody else. Now, attach that to our foreign policy and our border policy, and all of a sudden it makes sense.
100%.
Oh, they're better than we are. They're better than those Texans or those Arizonans.
Exactly. You know what's funny is I've heard a lot lately this argument that we didn't need immigration law. People could just come in and they come through Ellis Island or whatever, right?
Right.
And assimilate to society. So we didn't need immigration laws. And it's like, okay, I understand that. That's a fair point. It's liberty. We want people to come here.
Yeah.
And they go, see, what we've done is we've destroyed the Constitution, right? And it's like, could everyone agree that not everybody should drive and somehow that should be regulated in some sense or form? We didn't need driver's license back in the day when cars first came out.
Right.
You just go buy a car if you wanted, drive it to the, we didn't have drunk driving laws. We didn't have all these things. Those laws were enacted to protect the citizen, not to restrain the citizen, to protect the citizen. Mm-hmm. Well, I should be able to drink and drive when okay, cool. Do that. So now your liberty is hurting the liberty of another, right? It could, and it has, and we've seen that before.
Yeah.
Now, some of you will argue that's big government talk. No, not really, right? Should someone be able to drink and drive and be able to say, why do it because in the name of liberty? My liberty should never impede your liberty or the potential of it thereof. You know what I mean? So like, it's crazy because I know I'm sounding almost contradictory, but I'm not. Immigration has gotten so far worse, and we've seen a lot of people come into this nation that didn't have America's best interest in mind. How do we judge that, right? Why do we at the TSA have to, at the airports, have to prove we're innocent? We don't have bombs, so you can search me, you can do all these things right before I go on a plane. But these guys can just come in. How much was it? 300,000 recently?
Per
the numbers
month,
were
huge.
It
was something like 250,000 per month, and up to 300,000.
Who are they? Are we checking them? Like what? I have to provide ID. I have to, you know what I mean? If I'm on a no-fly zone, I can't fly. But what about these guys?
Right.
We don't know their intent, dude.
And it's a whole different.
Oh, but they're innocent because they're from a foreign country.
Yes,
but my
they're
own
okay.
country, I'm not innocent.
You have to be checked. You have to be vetted and verified. And I think this would look a lot different if we didn't have such a big invested government. Because you think about
Ooh, that's good.
back in the
That's
original
really good,
days,
dude.
right? How much influence did the federal government really have on the lives of the daily citizen? How much did the state government really have on the lives of the citizen, right? They were much more their own system, their own communities, doing their own things, and there was some overlap, right? The more a federal government gets involved in your life, the more they have to keep track of things, and the more there's more that you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to form this in my head, but you think back to those times, people will argue, oh, well, there wasn't real citizenship. They just, you became a part of the nation.
I can agree with that.
Right? Now we're in a much different world where instead of people taking a month to sail across the ocean, or you have a small group of people that might come across the border from the south, now we have 8 billion people in the world who can fly here in a couple of hours, or migrant caravans of 50,000 people can come up from the south.
Yeah.
We're in a whole different situation.
A little bit.
And
But you
there's
got to wonder, what's the drive?
for all of that, oh,
Yeah.
it's
No,
it's
seriously, like,
agenda.
is it because America's more prosperous now? Not really. You know what I mean? Like, inflation's crazy. So
Right.
inflation's crazy everywhere. So what's the drive to come to America right now? It's the land of the free, right? But most of the liberals who are saying we should let these guys come in. You hate America. You think America's the most racist nation in the world. You think black lives, should matter, which they do, obviously, right? They decry America, and then they're like, well, then let them come in. But you're the one who hates America.
And then when the conservative points out, hey, I think you're trying to replace a group of people. No!
Do you mean we're trying to get rid of Whitey? Well, I will say it's kind of nice being a Mexican. I got a white dude working for me. I'm just saying.
I am the oppressed class.
It's kind of nice having a minority here.
I am a
'Cause
minority.
There is they're half Mexican.
Yeah.
I mean, your mic's not on.
Oh.
You might want to hit that.
You married a white girl, that's why.
Yeah, she
you
classed
kinda-
me up.
you
She
kinda-
classed me up.
You kind of lost points, though, because you did. You lost oppression points.
That is true.
Do you realize I am the most hated type of person on the face of the earth?
You are.
I am white, male, Christian.
Do you have blue eyes?
No, I don't.
No,
so
you
I
got-
guess I'm one up from the bottom.
You're tier down.
I'm almost to the bottom.
Yeah. Your wife might be of the Aryan.
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
But you are.
Wait,
Seriously.
yeah.
You're the most hated or
You look at a global perspective.
yeah, you're an oppressor.
The hated group.
You're an oppressor by dint of color. Does that make sense? Anyways, DOJ, get out of the business of trying to do this and standing on your moral high horse and freaking, because what you're saying is we have more relations out there than in Texas. When Texas is producing your economy,
And
you know what I mean?
And
it's not about money.
I think you're opening yourself up to a counter lawsuit that you're not enforcing the laws that are on the books, so therefore you are going against the Constitution. Because even in that same supremacy clause, you could read that as the government has a duty to enforce the laws that they've decided are supreme in the land.
Yeah.
So I think Texas could easily countersue and say, you're not doing your job. So we're going to sue you for not doing your job.
In 2020 and 21, if you didn't wear a mask, you couldn't participate or get a vaccine. Remember that?
Right.
But we can just the citizens were harmed.
Oh, dude.
The citizens were protected by their authoritative measures to protect. So it's all about protecting America, but not Texas, not our borders. Okay?
No.
Not our borders, right? So let's go back to this. I'm not saying that laws against drunk driving should be enacted. I'm not saying they shouldn't be enacted. What I'm saying is isn't there some kind of protect? And those should be done by the states anyways, in the local counties and cities, not by the federal government, because every state is different, every city is different. If they want to be Wild West and not enact laws like that, great.
That's up to
but
them.
there is murder laws, and if you do drunk drive and you kill someone, there's a murder law.
That's a murder,
right? So, it's hard to make law to prevent something from happening because that assumes that you know all things and that you're supreme and you're sovereign. That's why law is so tricky. But we're seeing these people come across the border, which nobody's saying they shouldn't. But what's the process? Why is it that I couldn't go into a restaurant and almost vilified for going into a restaurant without a mask, or a grocery store or something like that? And dude, when I told people I wasn't getting a vaccine, dude, my son just went to the hospital for an appendectomy. They're like, did he get his COVID shots? Why are you asking me that? Ain't none of your daggum business if you got his COVID
doesn't matter.
right? That's not. He's getting an appendectomy. He ain't got COVID.
He's still alive at this point. He's probably had COVID.
Yeah, and I've had it. So it's like you just see this. It's a. I wish I could say it. Cluster. It's a giant cluster
bomb.
You know.
That's
anyways,
probably not a good one to say.
way
either.
to go, DOJ, for trying to uphold the Constitution, even though you're not even doing it to
Yay.
protect the citizens. Way to go, yeah.
You're totally doing your job.
Yeah. Next. Bomb threats at the Capitol.
Man, this is probably
Go
going to
ahead.
get pulled off because of the words we're using. But whatever. That's right.
There was a boom threat.
Boom threat. Boom. That's right. Not just one. 7 states received boom threats at their capitals a couple of days ago. Several locked down or evacuated due to these threats. There's also been a trend of swatting government officials, and it's both conservatives and liberals that are getting swatted. I abhor this. I abhor this. I don't care who's doing it. I don't care who it happens to. The Secretary of State in Maine, her house got swatted. Stop. You idiots. You are totally feeding into all of this. Just stop. Because guess what you're doing? You're just sowing discord and chaos.
And that's that.
And they want that.
Yeah, that's that Alinsky stuff, man. So I was watching and reading about Alinsky and his tactics. So the mob, and this is a common thing, the mob would come into certain cities, like bust windows, break in doors, mess up a place. Business owners would be like, man, I'm freaking out. Mob would come in and say, hey, we'll protect you for a little bit of cash, you know? So then all of a sudden, that's what they would do, is make money. And that's a known thing. You see it in videos and movies all the time, right? Alinsky adopted that tactic.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, you know what? If we create civil discord, if we create political discord, and then produce an answer. In other words, make issues so great, emotional decisions. That's why these business owners, they were making emotional decisions. Instead of saying, I'm going to grab a gun and protect myself, all these other things, they were hiring out and not realizing it was the mob doing it.
Yep.
Be careful, again, that this isn't like some, see, prophecy's being fulfilled, it's going to get shaken. I believe it's just a bunch of idiots doing this to shake things up.
Yeah.
It's not the majority. I'm telling you, dude, just all of you watching, all of you listening, okay? Just drive around America. Take a week and drive around America. Don't listen to the media. Just drive around America. Some parts are going to be impoverished. Some parts are going to be prosperous. Some parts are going to be crazy. Some parts are not going to be. But you look around, you just talk to the average American, and they just want to do their jobs, go home. Most of them, I pray, that you meet would be so kind and love God and want to pray with you, right? And the media is telling you, oh my gosh, it's getting crazy.
Everything's going
right.
nuts. So
Now, there are certain areas. Yes, I agree. Areas.
And in those areas, it's not like it's 24/7.
Yeah.
Right? Like, windows are not getting smashed in downtown Dallas at every moment of every day.
There's not an assassination of a president every day in Dallas.
No. And the CIA totally wasn't involved in it.
Right. Ish.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway.
They did it.
And to your point, we saw this with BLM. We've seen this with Antifa. They smash up store windows. So then people start putting stickers or signs in their windows saying, I'm with you. They put up the BLM sign is, hey, see, we're BLM supporting. Please don't. That's a tactic of fear. And you can get people to submit to what you want, even if they don't agree with you, because they're afraid.
Yep.
And we're seeing it at all levels. Shameless plug. We're seeing it with conservatives who happen to be at a Trump speech on January 6th.
Ooh. Ooh.
So this evening, 7 p.m.,
Yeah, man.
you're going to hear a real-world account of a railroad job and fear tactics being implemented.
Man, and when y'all hear that story, y'all are gonna see like this dude he was trying to help people.
He was giving aid.
He was helping the first responders and the cops.
He was saying, stop attacking them.
And because he was just there, they imprisoned him. And they won't. Oh, you guys got to just watch it. I'm already trying to let the cat out the bag. And she is so sweet, dude.
Yes.
And her demeanor was like, I would be. I don't know how she does it, bro. Like that's.
And I love where her focus is at. That's
100%.
You're not going to just hear. You're not going to hear. Just get my husband out of jail. Isn't he my husband? I wanted to cover. That's not her.
What she probably does in her quiet time, in her home time.
But like, she is such a different cat in this whole thing, and that's what I came away with. Is like, she is different in how she handles this.
And I just want you to talk about it just for a quick second. Yeah. That night, you said it was really troubled you. You know,
it did. I had a hard time sleeping after it. I slept maybe 3 hours, because this whole concept of it's the force of the government coming against a single person.
Yeah.
And what recourse does a person have? And I'm thinking about my own context, like, how would I handle that? What would I do? When does that come for me? Right? And that'll keep you up at night. It's very easy if all you do is yell at the TV, you yell at Fox News for a couple hours at night, and then you go to bed, and then you never do or say anything. If you're just that passive, I'm mad at the government. Well, what are you doing? Nothing. We're putting ourselves out there. We're putting ourselves into the
100%
into the line of fire,
which we're cool with.
We're fine with that.
Oh well.
But there is a reality. We've both talked about it. I wonder when it comes due. Right? We both talk. We're on a list, guaranteed. Just the fact that we've said keywords, we're on a list somewhere. And so,
can we say this too?
Yeah. Sure. I don't know what you're going to say.
We've probably had 20 now videos deleted from YouTube.
Oh yeah,
because of our buzzwords.
They're scrubbing us right now.
And it's only been the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Another video deleted. We have no appeal or whatever, just because we may have said a word or we hit controversial COVID issues, and it's pretty incredible.
Isn't it funny that all of a sudden they're scrubbing all of these?
Yeah, it's
right.
Nuts.
Like they've been sitting there, and it's not videos that came out last week. It's videos that came out like 2-3 years ago. Oh, we got to scrub this now.
Yep.
Suddenly, oh, isn't that funny? You must have changed the keywords in your algorithm because
Buddy, it's nuts.
Because misinformation.
Whatever.
Anyways,
so
number 3, or did you have something else?
Javier Milei.
I'm not allowed to say it because I'm white, so I'm allowing the
He's saying Javier Milei.
Javier Milei from Argentina. Argentina.
He's literally crushing it right now, man.
He is the
I love.
Libertarian dream.
In 18 days, this is what he's done. Check this out. Eliminated 12 of 21 cabinet posts, firing 5,000 government employees. Ending 380,000 government regulations. Just listen to that. Eliminating 380,000 government regulations.
And how many people are like, we need all those?
You remember when Trump got in office and he was like, for every 2,
for every one that we write, we're going to eliminate 2.
Yeah. Yep. Which he's like, I'm just going to cut them.
Yeah. You know, right? No, we ain't writing new ones.
Banned woke language from the military. I don't like that. People should be able to say what they want to say.
Yeah, and he's libertarian, so it's like, okay, now you're controlling speech. You're just controlling it the way you want to.
I think and we maybe need to read in that a little bit more. I don't want to just take that for
now. Let's put an asterisk on that. The military is a defined position to protect your nation. Is there a difference between a person's rights and military structure and service for the good of the nation?
That's a good point.
And I'm not making a conclusion. It's just I'm libertarian, but it's like at the same time, you do in your military, there's got to be a structure and a discipline that isn't necessarily totally liberty.
Well, you're not your own property when you're part of the military, right? You're part of the government structure. That's
government property.
That's a conversation we need to have with you, me, Paul, and Mike.
Yeah.
So yeah,
let's
it's gonna be good. One of those nights.
We're gonna set up.
He wrote a bill to, or approved a bill to affirm right to self-defense. Duh. Bill to legalize homeschooling. Doesn't this
fact
sound
you have
like
to legalize
But
that?
wait. Doesn't this sound like America?
It's strangely.
You know what it sounds like? Liberty. People think America is exclusive. No, what happened in America was true liberty. We wanted liberty.
Hold on to that point because we got proof of that. Keep going.
Let's go. Proposal to punish all riot organizers. I actually like that. I do, because rioters, and again, you're kind of crossing some lines here. Because what if it's a riot to overthrow an unjust government? You know what I mean? You got to be careful, right?
Then you are accepting the consequences of your actions.
Right. I think if rioters destroy property the way that they have, then we go after
destruction
them, right?
of property.
Destruction of property. Future welfare cuts for road blocking.
Or just get rid of welfare.
Get rid of welfare. Legalize paying contracts in Bitcoin.
Love it.
Privatization of state-run companies. Love it. Opened up the Argentina oil industry. Love it. That's in. It took him a whole 18 days.
Golly, that's a...
He even took a picture with the GASDEN flag, bro.
Show the slide. I love it.
That's insane.
My bro.
Liberty.
I love this guy. It's like I'm
Someone's
looking at if
let's
I
go look at some properties in Argentina, bro.
If I didn't feel called to America, I'd be like,
Babe, second property in Argentina maybe one day.
All right, game on. We're gonna start our little estate.
Argentina.
All right. So, Javier Milei, we support you. We salute you.
You know what's funny? We're talking about the Epstein Files and the power structure that is being exposed and darkened. Right?
Yes,
and that's
we
really
are.
important for us to talk about. The power structure is being upended. People are getting exposed.
Javier Milei is upending power.
Just like your power grid in your house that needs to be worked on. That's why we are supported by Energy Ops LLC. He exposes the things that could be wrong and wants to add to things that need to be added to. Much like the Epstein Files exposing corruption, he wants to expose the corruption in your home with your electrical work. Energy Ops LLC has been such a great supporter of Self-Evident Podcast for
I'm just watching now, man. I'm observing.
Come on, y'all.
This is primo.
This is good plug,
This is
boy.
masterpiece right here.
Energy Ops LLC. Great family, man. Great, a good Christian dude too. One of the things we know with working with Christian businesses, they could be crazy.
Yeah.
This cat's not.
No,
he's so
he's a
cool,
good
man.
dude,
He's a great guy. Look him up. Energy Ops LLC.
LLC. So if you're in the Charleston, South Carolina area, check out Energy Ops LLC. Also, another shameless plug. Producer.
Guys,
Are you ready with the next slide? Yeah. Golly.
you remember? Not during work.
Oh, that's not a good excuse. All right. It better be me. Nope, it's not me.
It's not me.
Better be him. Not him. Phone down. Anyways, roll the slide. Tonight, 7 p.m., we are doing, I consider it really breakthrough in-studio interview with Mrs. Sarah Maccabee. Her husband was arrested for January 6th, and like we talked about earlier, the guy was there to help. He was giving aid to people, and he got swept up in all of it. And so we're rolling the interview. We thought we were going to roll it during this episode. We're like, no, this deserves its own. So we're going to roll it prime time, 7 p.m. Be sure to tune in. It'll be on all the platforms just like we do here, do now. Mark your calendars, set up your notifications, do what you got to do. Watch this interview because this is awesome. And it is not your typical J6 interview, okay?
Yeah, whereas others want to go into the conspiracy side of things and try to draw conclusions, we're just letting her speak.
We're letting her speak and tell her personal story on it. Not just the events, her personal story, right? So tune in, 7 p.m. We can't wait to see you guys there.
Yeah.
And be sure to get in. Now, it's obviously pre-recorded, but leave your comments, leave
We
your
were moved,
thoughts,
bro.
leave your questions. She's got an organization, standinthegap.foundation. She's executive director. Check them out as well. That's all I'm going to say.
Amen.
All right. Ready?
Yep.
All right. Epstein Files. We get to go to the salacious, risque, down and dirty details of the Epstein Files because that's what everybody wants, right? Can we pause for a moment? One thing that I want to say is, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but can we be careful about our hearts on all of this stuff? Because as this stuff rolls out, you ever notice we get obsessed with pain and suffering of others? And it's kind of like we'll watch the Lifetime channel where they've made a career out of women being abused. We've watched movies and listened to stories about absolutely sick and grotesque things, yet we consider it entertainment. And we even watch shows about brutal, unsolved murders, right? And when we hear about stories like this, like the Epstein Files...
Man, that show used to scare me, though. Unsolved Mysteries,
Dude,
bro.
I know.
Oh, gosh.
Like,
that song and the music and the... You know what I mean? When you're a kid, you're like...
You turn on all the lights, you run up the stairs
Comment
quick.
below if you understand
Yeah.
Unsolved Mysteries.
Oh,
Y'all
man.
know that music. I was like, man, I was a kid. I was like... and you were like... eating and watching it, and then you're like, lock the doors. You know?
We eat up non-commitment drama. And what I mean by that is it's stuff that doesn't involve us and it's not going to affect us. So we can pick up our flag and we wave it as our side gets the upper hand. So all I'm saying is let's watch our hearts on all of this, talking to us included, especially myself, how we approach this. Because we're gonna talk about names, we're gonna talk about situations. Be careful about, I knew it, so-and-so got him, because that's what they're doing on the other side too. And we'll get into that because Trump's name got named. So, of course, what do they do? Oh, see, he got named and all of it. We have to remember there are victims in this whole thing.
Exactly, dude.
And this whole
Great
situation is we want to see justice. Absolutely. But be careful that our heart doesn't go, I wonder what the gory details are.
Yeah, and the one thing, too, just to preface or to add to, I think, be careful, too, because this took so long to come out. But January 6th was right away. They know how to pull your emotions, dude. They know where they want you to think. So the moment this comes out, you're going to hear reports of, oh, that's not that bad. They didn't really do that. They didn't really this. Hunter Biden, again, covered up. But January 6th comes out, bam. Trump's Russia collusion, bam. COVID cases, bam. You know, it was like right away. We didn't even wait for the facts. George Floyd, a lot of these things came out so fast, we didn't wait for the facts. All of a sudden now we want to wait for the facts before we start releasing names. It's like, be careful how they try to manipulate you and how to think.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. And we're going to get into that because, of course, a lot of names got named from these documents. But the problem is those names get thrown out. And so then everybody's like, oh, yeah, so-and-so, they got named. They must have been doing it. You know, it's like, well, actually, the name in several of these instances was so-and-so there. Well, yeah. Did they do anything? No, not that I saw. Or he mentioned so-and-so. Did anything? Not that I knew or happened.
Yeah.
Right? But in Newsweek, shame on you, Newsweek. Shame on you. Now I understand. You're Newsweek, so we all understand.
They have no shame.
Yeah, we all understand. You're kind of dregs anyways. But shame on you, Newsweek, because when I was looking at various articles and writing this up, Newsweek, and I'm kind of going to hop down, well, I don't know that I even have all the names that they put out there. But, I do. Newsweek said, the first release list includes high-profile names such as Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Prince Andrew, Leonardo DiCaprio, Naomi Campbell, Kate Blanchett, Cameron Diaz, David Copperfield, Al Gore, Stephen Hawking, Kevin Spacey, and Bruce Willis. Your immediate reaction is all those people were doing something evil. That's your immediate reaction.
Be careful.
Be careful, because many of those names were, oh, yeah, we knew they were an acquaintance of Epstein at one point. That was all that was said about them.
Yep.
Or, yeah, they flew on the plane to Africa to do this thing. That's all that was
It's crazy
said.
because it's like going back to this because we released a short about slave ownership in America and the founders. That's just like saying when people say all founders were slave owners. I've heard that so many times.
Generalization.
They were all slave owners, all of them.
Every single one.
And you can do that with this, and just be careful, okay? We're not justifying what they did if they did it. We just need the facts so we can make a proper judgment, and justice should be done.
Let me do it this way. Al Gore's name is in there, Al Gore. I have no love for Al Gore.
Yeah, no respect.
I have no,
No
respect
respect.
for him.
No.
But you know what I'll say? In those documents, it never says that Al Gore did anything. All it says is that he flew on Epstein's plane with Epstein to Africa for something. That's it. And that's totally in line with something that Al Gore would do, is fly to Africa for something. So am I going to decide, well, at one point he was acquaintances with Epstein in some capacity and did something with him, so now all of it... Do you know how many evil people you've had association with? And you had made that point on one of the shorts, and somebody said, that's not a good argument. Well, actually it is. Because at some point in some time, you will have had associations with somebody who does something evil or wicked.
Someone thinks my beliefs as a Christian are evil and nefarious.
So therefore, all of your actions are then corrupt.
Exactly.
That's not true.
Which is so stupid, right? Because, okay, let's say you think things that I do as a Christian are evil because it's evil Christianity. Either my arguments and my stuff holds weight or it doesn't. Either it's valid or it's not. Either it's true or it's not, or it has a point. Don't invalidate me because you think I'm evil. Look to the point and say, is this right or not?
Right.
You know what I mean? So your perception of me should not have anything to do with, is it truth or not? You know what I mean? Yeah. Either my argument is bull or it's actually right. And it's defendable.
And look at Epstein and what he did. What Epstein did was get himself intertwined into circles of famous and powerful and intelligent people. And he would get them all into a room together. Now, plenty of them, he built blackmail, right? That was part of this whole thing, was a blackmail scheme, right? That's the allegation. So his job, in his mind, was network and influence people at the top tiers. So, of course, he came across all kinds of names of people you would recognize. That's akin to you going to a party that one of your friends threw, and Epstein just so happens to be there, and you get to talk to him for 5 minutes. There are plenty of people that are in that position. So be careful about the name dropping. And of course, they're doing it to Trump. And again, it's like, I just defended Al Gore. Now I've got to defend Trump. Of what do the newspapers say? Trump named in Epstein documents. Literally, that's what they're saying. He's named in all the documents. He's there. That's it. See, we told you. Epstein even said, well, we'll call up Trump to go to his casino. That's really one of the only mentions of Trump. And what they don't, and they'll even tell you, Trump even said he's a good guy, I love him, all of that, whatever. That was early on. And you know Trump. Trump says everybody's a good guy.
Until they cross him.
Until they cross him. Then he's the most horrible person on the face of the earth. So you can't say, oh, Trump actually meant he's a good guy. Trump was like, seems to have connections, had a conversation, seems like a good guy.
Let's get a little farther in that. He was a Democrat when he was that too.
Exactly. But what people won't talk about is, did you know that Epstein was actually banned from Mar-a-Lago?
Ooh.
Epstein was banned from Mar-a-Lago. Nobody talks about that. Why? Why was he banned from Mar-a-Lago? Right? And the attorney general, I want to make sure I get this right. Epstein never had membership to Mar-a-Lago, and then he was banned from it in 2007. Attorney Bradley Edwards said the only one to help him in his case against Epstein was Trump. The only one in that case. Now, if you forget, there was a case in Florida a long time ago where Epstein was getting charged with all this stuff, and Alan Dershowitz and some others got him off. Nobody wanted to come out against Epstein.
Boy.
And the attorney general was having a real hard time making a case. This guy himself, Attorney Bradley Edwards, is saying Trump was the only one to come out and help. He was the only one to come out.
That's guts, man.
That's guts.
I'll tell you something too. Like, you got to think, a lot of people know that politicians become puppets because someone has dirt on them.
Yep.
You got to wonder if that's what was happening. Hey, buddy, I'm going to let your name out, dude, if you don't knock it off.
Right.
And you don't play the line. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh, absolutely.
Shoot. I mean, thank God for us, bro, that we've aired our laundry in our past, and like we're open.
Yep.
We have nothing to hide. You know, ask me anything. You know, I'll tell you. Shoot, yeah, it was stupid. I did some stupid thing. I grew up. You grow up and you learn, and you can't judge a man by his past. You judge where he's at now, what he's learned from those things in his past. And so, but here, can you really redeem if you were involved in underage orgies and pedophilia? And
Yeah.
whew, that's tough, man.
That's a hard.
It is.
That's a hard walk to come back from.
It is, because like you don't know what your judgment is not right when you can fulfill lusts like that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And to get to that point, I feel like there's, and I'm not trying to make a.
I know what you're saying.
It's totally other sin, but there's a lot of people who will say like, pedophiles can't come back. They can't be rehabilitated.
A lot of I've heard sheriffs and cops talk about that.
And psychologists and psychiatrists say it too. Of like, once you're at that point, there's really no coming back.
Yeah, your conscience is off.
Yeah,
at that point.
And so you look at this type of situation, and I was listening to somebody else, and they were talking about how DC area has the highest concentration of psychopaths in the world, and they weren't even making
and
a
they're
joke.
all in the Senate chambers.
They really are, because
not all of them. I'm kidding.
Think about what a psychopath does. A psychopath wants to run over people, consolidate power, get influence. That's really their driver. So where are the levers of power in the world, and elitism and influence and upper echelons? DC is really that hive meeting place.
Truth.
So then these people also want to fulfill lusts and pleasures and desires, right? And they don't, there's a seared conscience in a certain respect. So then they'll go after the more extreme things, if anything, because it's a sense of I can do it and get away with it, And there were a lot of people named in this whole thing.
Yeah.
And
I like that part you said about donate.
oh, where did
You
I say
said,
that?
I have not seen all the files, and I'm working off small chunks of news reports. So be aware, we'll be honest here, we have not had the time to look through all the stuff.
No.
And that's why you need to donate to self-evidence, so we can have a person to actually do that, so we can do the thing the right way.
We want to hire a full-time researcher that can read all this stuff, so I don't have to do it.
I am Massey
Yes.
Campos, and I improve this message.
So we know you're out there.
Please.
Donate. Anyways, we are going to go through some of the names because I want to clarify, because you're going to hear a lot of names. I want to put out the clarification of what's going on in the nuance, because you're going to hear these names. You're going to be like, oh, man, that's so-and-so was named. They must be. Hold on, killer. Okay? So Epstein at one point said Bill Clinton likes them young, referring to girls. That's what was said in the testimony interview. That's about all that was said about Bill Clinton. Now, we have all the flight logs and all of that, and
Monica Lewinsky.
Oh. But Hillary's so beautiful. Anyways, Michael Jackson was supposedly at Epstein's house in Palm Beach one time, though the accuser said she did not have to perform a massage on him. So again, the name Michael Jackson is going to get floated out. There is not an accusation right now against him for this situation. Other situations, whatever. One accuser alleges Prince Andrew groped her chest. Alan Dershowitz was accused of coming often to Epstein's Florida mansion and got massages while there. He is also accused of non-consensual stuff, although all of this is really non-consensual, as well as watching others. He denies it, saying that the documents later show that he was most likely misidentified and that he has all the documentation to prove he was in another place during those alleged times. That's important to know, because guess what people are saying? Alan Dershowitz, he was the most sick and disgusting of all of them. But he's saying, he's allowed defense. He's saying, no, you're not reading all the documents, because the documents say I was misidentified, and that I've got documentation of these times and places I couldn't have been there because I've got interviews and other documentation show I wasn't there. I'm not saying he's right. I'm not saying he's wrong. Be aware.
That's right.
We got Stephen Hawking is named by accuser Schoberg, and an email from Epstein to Maxwell says she should issue a reward to any of Virginia Guffrey. I think it's Guffrey.
I'm going to say I almost want to say Jeffrey, but
Hey guys, do your research. No. Associates who can disprove her allegations. The email also said you can issue a reward to any of Virginia's friends, acquaintances, family that come forward and help prove her allegations are false. Epstein was writing this. The strongest is the Clinton dinner and the new version in the Virgin Islands that Stephen Hawking participated in an underage orgy. Those are the strongest allegations, is what Epstein was saying. Al Gore has not been accused of any wrongdoing, but he traveled on Epstein's private jet. Bill Richardson was accused of being one of the ones that Virginia was told to have relations with. Thomas Pritzker, chairman of Hyatt Hotels and billionaire and cousin to J.B. Pritzker, who is just the best, is being implicated. Others were named as associates of Epstein, though no wrongdoing was accused. And then I go into the whole Trump thing. So what's the fallout on this, right? What happens from here? Probably not much. And I know I'm giving bad news, black pill maybe on this, but let's really be reasonable about this. How many of these people do you think actually get charged now that their names are out? You'll see some resignations. You'll see some stepping away from office. You'll probably 1 or 2 suicides. I'm not trying to be graphic or grotesque. It's just the truth. But overall, I don't have enough faith in our justice system that this is going to get torn apart because of this. I don't know. Maybe you feel differently, bro.
No, I think I kind of agree with you, especially after listening to Sarah's interview, like when we did the interview and stuff like that. And they're going to prosecute who they want to. That's why they're going after Trump so hard. So it's like if they want to do it, they'll throw the full-fledged and force of the law and money against it. You know what I mean? To go after it. Look at them going after Texas for protecting their land.
Right.
So if they want to prosecute, they're going to do it. And it's all about narratives, right? It's about Alinsky when he said in Rules for Radicals, the issue is never the issue, it's the revolution. Mm-hmm. So do they want this stain on themselves so that the people get more enraged and outraged against the government? Right? And dude, we got so much history to talk about because I'm still doing a lot of research and homework. But this is so reminiscent of second century, what went through in the church and all the stuff that came against the church. And it's literally to demoralize a nation. It's to demoralize. And the first thing they go for is your liberty. If they can do that, then they got you. Then it turns into we're no longer a republic. We're actually a democracy / kind of monarchy. And oligarchical judges run the nation. That's what's been happening. And then they can go after these 3 key areas we'll talk about in the future. But that's what's happening right now is I agree with Mike that people will resign, people will be shamed, whatever. But is there really going to be prosecution? And to me, when prosecution is done, and I'm just going to be honest with you guys, when people start to be like corporally punished, corporal punishment for this heinous crimes, they'll stop doing it. Mm-hmm. It'll continue, but way less because they know the punishment's coming. Mm-hmm. We've almost demeaned murder and rape and all these things and just like, well, they got good behavior so they can get off because we really need to rehabilitate people. It's like, dude, I understand mercy and justice, but that comes first from the Lord, then the directive from the judge. But we see judges who are not even upholding the law anymore. So I agree with you. I don't even think they're going to hear some of these cases because they're like, I don't want that negative publicity. And then they want to preserve their own life, right? Because they know if they try a case now, they're going to get in the Clinton crosshairs. You know? Seriously, it's so crazy because you said suicides. Were they suicides, though? You know what I mean? Like,
and I can't remember who it was. There was another one who just died in his jail cell who was implicated in all of this because, of course.
In his jail cell.
In his jail cell.
Let me ask you a question. With all the plea bargain options available, right?
Right.
Hey, we'll let you free, bro, if you plea bargain and you expose some names.
Yeah, we need you to talk.
Yeah. Why all of a sudden I just commit suicide?
Yeah. It's almost like somebody wouldn't want you to talk.
Yeah.
As though like you might implicate somebody. I just no, that can't be.
We're not the brightest bulbs on the tree here, but we're just kind of thinking. You know what I mean? We're funking out loud.
2 + 2 = chair, but I'm gonna figure this one out too. So really, this big story that everybody's talking about, and we're like, well, we got to talk about it too. We got to give our take. we're not here to bust some new detail. There's plenty of other people who are going to do that. And God bless them, and we'll be with you of, hey, if something else gets busted open on this, we'll report it because we want to be able to talk about this. But we try to always go with what's the Christian view, what's the sensible, principled view on all of this. I pray that justice is done for these victims. I pray that the wickedness is brought to light and is disinfected. Completely my prayer. My recognition is it's going to be an act of God in order to do it. And as a little plug of Mondays, you will hear plenty of prophecies about this type of process, and be wary of what you hear from all facets.
And we're saying that because we're doing the same thing. And we're telling you to challenge us. Challenge us.
Yeah. If
Go
we
for
tell
it,
you
man.
something,
Shoot.
you're like, dude, that's not true.
That's cool.
Please. But I never want to represent myself as being completely biased. I want to be biased in good faith, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And that's why I will tell you, look, until evidence comes out that Al Gore actually did something, don't put his name into the middle of all this.
Word.
Same with Trump. Until it comes out that he actually did something, don't put his name into the middle of all of this, right? When prophets come out and start speaking about 2024 and they're throwing these wild prophecies, beware of whether they're trying to prick your flesh or they're trying to speak to your spirit. And our flesh can get really inflamed in a lot of ways.
Yep.
When we're hearing words, whether from the news. You ever feel that rush when you hear news that's like for your side? You know, it's like for the conservatives or for Trump supporters, like when Trump's vindicated in some way, you're like, yeah, that's my side. Or what's worse, a takedown of somebody else on the other side. Finally, they got theirs. It happens in the spiritual realm too. It happens when we hear that prophecy that we're like, ooh, yeah. But the problem is it speaking to your spirit or is it speaking to the desires of your flesh? And we don't tend to see that. And we're going to talk about that more on Monday. So you be ready for that. But tonight, be sure to tune back in, 7 p.m. You could have said it.
He's right.
He is right. You just totally interrupted my monologue.
I'm sorry, man. I wasn't telling you to pick it up and read it. You just got to kind of do the glance thing. Be a pro, dog. Like, just, you know, like, yeah. So tonight at 7, we're having an interview with Sarah Maccabee, and we want you guys to tune in. And so we want you guys to be a part of that interview.
Or,
by the way, my son just texted me during the whole thing, and he said, make sure to tell everybody, like and subscribe.
Which, good on you, Nathan, for reminding us.
I am being serious about that.
Good on you, bud. Massey should have just tagged on after I said my piece.
That's true.
So there.
That's not professional. Like and subscribe.
That's why we need to do it right there.
That's right.
All right. I do want you to put up the slide for Sarah Maccabee. If you could put that one up too.
Yep. 7 o'clock tonight, guys.
7 o'clock. Check out the interview. Like and subscribe, guys. Go to all of our major platform channels. Be sure to click the notify button, notifications, and comment, would you please? We love to hear from you, even if you have insane, crazy, dumb ideas. We still want to hear from you
We love dumb ideas.
Yeah, we've spot plenty of them.
We've done a lot of them too.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, we love you guys. We hope you have a great weekend. We will see you tonight at 7 p.m.
Bye.
Love y'all.